Hi everyone, and welcome to the 2024 edition of Refresh to Relaunch. And honestly, I'm super excited that you're all here today. Today, we're talking about the 5 things you must know if you decide to relocate. And I must tell you that if you have friends, if you know people who are planning on relocating, kindly send them the link to this program, because I am saying that if you didn't attend Refresh to Relaunch 2024, please don't relocate, because my guests have something to tell you that your agents wouldn't tell you, or that you would never have imagined in 1,000 years. So, guys, welcome to the 2024 edition of Refresh to Relaunch. Thank you. IB, over to you.
Thank you. So I'll say good evening again to everybody who's made time to be here today. Um, we have some very interesting and varied speakers who will be covering a range of topics that all come together to create a good picture for what anyone who is intending to relocate to the UK should know. And I would think that there's a lot of people who are also in the country who've been here for years can also take away as well. So we've been doing this for about 5 years now. So EB Speaks, which is the power behind today's session, has been a Facebook podcast show for the last 5 years now. Started off in the pandemic as one of those shows that sprung up to help keep us all
Maybe
happy.
three
And
years.
oh,
3 years.
3 years,
Yeah.
3 years, 2020. Remember, 2020. So 4 years. This is going to be the fourth year, I believe, since the pandemic. But this is the third year for Refresh to Relaunch, and after that day, it goes on to be several sessions during the year. But for 2024, we wanted to start off with a very impactful session today to help us to usher us into the new year. So, as I said before, this is hosted by EB Speaks. She's the one who just spoke. She's the convener of today. She's a podcaster. She also has a radio talk show as well. She's a radio host. She is the power behind the Refresh to Relaunch, and has put together a great array of speakers for us today. She's a mom. She's also an ELS teacher as well. So yes, thank you very much for having this amazing platform for us to come together. Thank you for your vision. Thank you for your passion and for keeping this all together for all these years. My name is IB Wanze. I've been a supporter of EB Speaks for years. I am a business analyst. I've been working in different sectors for years now. I'm currently working in the housing sector as a business analyst. And I also am a member of the governance committee for the Housing Association for where I live, Southern Housing. And my job today would be to introduce all of the speakers and also keep them on track, ask them the right questions. And after this, they speak, we'll have breakout rooms that we can all go into and also ask them detailed questions, depending on the level of information that you want to know from them after they've spoken. So that's going to be a very powerful session as well. So please stay tuned for that. Right. So I'm just going to go in to introduce all of our amazing speakers. I had a slide all planned out, but unfortunately it's not going to work. So I'm just going to introduce them orally, and you get to know more about them when they speak. So we first have Ruth Zinwanza. So Ruth is a Zambian native. She currently resides in Ireland. So today, as part of her 5 things, I think I've heard Ruth speak, and her biggest message is that immigration is spiritual. So basically, there's an immigration connotation for when you migrate, where you want to migrate to. I suppose there's a leading to that as well. So we want to hear her talk about what that means, and how we can best tap into the spiritual aspect when we are trying to immigrate to a new country. And she's a clinical system analyst in the healthcare sector for over 14 years. So Ruth, thank you and welcome to the event today. Secondly, we have Egosa Obaseki. So he's a global logistics specialist. He resides in Canada. I've also heard him speak as well. His biggest forte is that before you relocate, research, research, research is the key to successfully migrating to a new country and settling into the country and having a promising career in that country. And I guess for those of us who are here today, who have also been in the country for a while, we also can tap into the message as well by understanding that we have to keep learning and keep growing, and some of the critical things to be aware of in 2024 as well. So thank you, Egusa David. Thirdly, we have Rose. So Rose Demol, she's also based in Ireland. She's very passionate about human rights. She is going to focus on the mindset that we have to have in 2024 from a new migrant's perspective, and also as somebody who's been in the country for a while as well. So she's saying that we have to have a very passionate mindset, a renewed mindset to be able to succeed as a professional. She's going to talk to us about how to adapt to change, how to correctly highlight your skills on your CV, how to acquire new skills, how to understand the culture of the country that you're in, to mention a few. And I think she's one of the best things about her is that she's very grassroots and down to earth. She's known as Mama Rosa, and her motto is creating change through positive action. So thank you very much, Mama Rosa, for being here today. Look forward to hearing from you as well. Okay, number four, the fourth speaker that we have today is Morayo Amao. Morayo is a deputy head teacher, I believe, for a school that spans from nursery to sixth form. She's going to be talking about what you need to know about the holistic development required for your child, how to successfully ensure that your child adapts properly into a new country, some of the pitfalls that you need to be aware of for children who are new in a country, some of the things that parents might not be aware of that could impact on their children's mental, physical well-being, some of the socio-economical things that we need to be aware of that could also derail a child, and what we need to do to make sure that our children are performing and staying on track. And lastly, and to round it all up, we've got a forensics psychiatrist in the house as well, Dr. Ijoma, who's going to talk to us about what we need to know from a well-being perspective as we experience a period of transition or migration. So his special interests are around medical psychotherapy, reflective practice, and group dynamics. So I hope that that gives you a glimpse to how well-rounded our speakers are today and the aspects that they'll be covering. So bear that in mind when you decide what breakout rooms you want to be in, so that you can get more knowledge and insight into the areas that speak more to you today. Okay, IB, is there anything I've missed today? I'm sorry, is there anything I've missed that I need to call out as well? We are streaming on YouTube, we're on various platforms. I want to also take this chance to tell you to please subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. What's the YouTube channel, IB?
Ibinabo Enebi. We couldn't stream on the other platforms again.
Okay.
Grimly,
Oh,
but we're on YouTube, so yeah.
okay, perfect. So we're on YouTube, and we will be the session is obviously recorded, and we will be sharing them to all our social media platforms. So please, if you want to rewatch this, you have an opportunity to. Perfect.
Thank you,
Okay.
Ivy.
You're welcome. All right. So without much ado, because we have 10 minutes per speaker, we want to make sure that we get the best out of every one of them. So please, our first speaker today would be Ruth. I think the spiritual aspect is always the best place to start, and that kind of sets the tone for everything else. So Ruth, without much ado, please take it away.
Thank you. Hi. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. As you know, my name is Ruth. I was born in Zambia. I grew up in Johannesburg, South Africa. I now live in Ireland. I've lived the majority of my life as a foreign national. So I know the story of what it means to be an immigrant, what it means to be a child of an immigrant, especially in a country like South Africa, because we moved to South Africa just on the verge of independence. So it was also a very interesting time. But as I've grown up and I've given my life to the Lord Jesus Christ, I have come to understand the spiritual aspect of immigration. Immigration is never a human's idea. Immigration is a spiritual idea. It comes from God Himself. Why do I say so? I say so because the father of the faith, of the Christian faith, Abraham, was told to move from his home country to go to a different land that he was going to be shown. And it was God's idea. Why is that important? It's important to know where God is sending you to because it is a matter of destiny. Where you are right now is exactly where you're supposed to be according to the plan that God has for your life. If you move from where you are going to derail the plan that God has for your life. So if you are planning on immigrating, it is important for you to understand from a spiritual point of view whether where you are is where you're supposed to be, or where you're going is where you're supposed to be. Is that where your children are supposed to be? Because wherever you are as a human being, you have a purpose, and that purpose needs to be fulfilled. So if God has planned that the people that you have to impact are in Zimbabwe and you're off in Nigeria, you are in the wrong place and you are not going to fulfill your destiny. And what then happens is that you start to have challenges that will eventually push you out of Nigeria and hopefully send you to where you're supposed to be. So immigration is spiritual. So I'd like to encourage anybody that's thinking of moving to sit down. If you have a pastor, I can only speak for Christians. If you have a pastor or if you have a spiritual leader in your life, take it to them. Let them pray you through that that thought that you're having. Because as much as it's a thought, it could very well be that it is God planting that idea in your heart. My personal story is I didn't get up and leave Africa on a whim. I had the urge to leave Africa for over 20 years. I never had the guts to do it. But when finally I heard the voice of God say it's time to go, I had to move. And by His grace, all the resources that I needed were provided for. And I arrived in Ireland, and the way for me in Ireland has been open. And that's because this is where I'm supposed to be. I may be a little late coming to the party, but this is where I'm supposed to be. Immigration is not easy. The environment I'm in is completely different from what I know, from what I'm used to. The food is different, the people are different, the weather is different. Um, and how I live my life now is completely different as well because I'm in a completely different environment. But because I'm supposed to be here, I have the grace to actually endure the challenges that come with being away from home, being away from family, being away from, being Zambia and South Africa by flight is 2 hours difference. So if I wanted to go home, I can go home anytime. But from here, it's a good 16 hours. So I can't just get up and go home when I feel like it. In South Africa, I could go home for the weekend, but now I can't do that anymore. So I'm here, and as difficult as it is, sometimes with loneliness and not having your people around you, I have the grace to endure because I am supposed to be here. I'm not here for no other reason than what God has planned for my life. I'd like to pause there and see if IB wants to question me on anything.
So I was going to ask you, okay, which of us?
No, you carry on, Ivy.
Yeah, I was going to ask, there's something that you said that is very profound. You said that immigration is spiritual. Yeah, so you've handled that. But then there's something that you said that you cannot be in a country and then badmouth the owners of the country.
That is very, very important, Evie, because dishonor is actually, it's a spiritual crime. It's the only way I can put it.
Ouch.
Yes, it's a spiritual crime. If you carry dishonor in your heart, in any environment you are not going to succeed. The second commandment is honor thy mother and thy father. If you dishonor your parents, you're not going to win in life. So if I move to a country and I dishonor the land by dishonoring the people, by bad mouthing them, by refusing to do as I'm asked to do, by trying to stomp around like I own the earth because in Africa I was some big deal, then I am not going to succeed. It is important for us when you come, especially when you come to the West, as an African who has been successful in Africa, it is very important for you to humble yourself. You have to humble yourself, and you have to know that you are rebuilding a new life and you're starting from scratch. So you have to humble yourself. I mean, I worked in the biggest medical health insurance company in South Africa. I have been on so many pioneering projects, but when I couldn't get work in Ireland, I worked as a cleaner in a nursing home. It didn't take anything away from my identity because I knew exactly where I was going, but I had to humble myself. I only know how to clean my house. I don't know how to clean anything else. I'm not a professional cleaner. I was the worst cleaner that nursing home ever saw, but I had to humble myself. I had to humble myself, and I served at the worst possible time in the country during the pandemic. That's when I went to work, coming off the back of a leg injury that I'd sustained during the pandemic. So even physically, I wasn't strong. But I just knew that if I don't serve this country in the best possible way that I can, with my heart and soul, serving their vulnerable people, I knew that I wasn't going to succeed. So I had to humble myself. I had to take all my, like I'm a trained business analyst. Even though now I'm doing systems analysis. I had to suspend all that analytical thinking and just bring it down to the level where it's now time to mop floors and to take out bins and to take instructions from people who I know are less probably intelligent than me, less educated than me. And I'll tell you a funny story. I was dishonoring my boss in my heart. Do you know how much trouble I had at work? Because she would tell me, do this, do that. And I felt she was so hard on me. And in my heart, I would be saying, you don't even know who I am. You don't know where I come from. You don't know what I've done. And God had to stop me and teach me and say, you will not dishonor your boss like that. And as soon as my internal attitude changed, my life at work became easier. I mean, I got taken for a disciplinary hearing for something I didn't do. But the Lord was trying to teach me something about being dishonorable. We cannot go around disrespecting the people of the nation. You don't come to Ireland and start calling the Irish stupid. You don't do that. You don't go to Canada and do that. You don't go to America and do that. I can't go to Nigeria and say Nigerians are like this and like that. Huh? Do I know the God of Nigeria for me to be speaking against his creation, against his people? God doesn't take kindly to that, and he overreacts to it. And how does he overreact? He pulls away his grace and he leaves you alone. And then what happens is what you see is a difficult life because the grace of God has been taken from you. So it's absolutely vital. You come into Ireland. What I used to do is I used to talk to everybody, talk to the cab drivers, talk to the cleaners about anything. Okay? I worked as a volunteer to clean the streets in Dublin. I worked as a volunteer, even with Rose, I worked as a volunteer for Rose, distributing laptops during the pandemic. Serve wherever you can, because what I was doing in my humble service was making an announcement to the spiritual realm in Ireland to say, I am here, I am not an enemy, I am here to serve you. But it doesn't just stop there with how I'm doing things, with the things that I'm doing. It also goes with my character. And that's why God had to correct me when I was wrong. It goes with your character. Your internals have to match your externals. If they don't, you are going to have trouble. And this is where you find a lot of people, like say, for instance, the ones that come as refugees. I was in the asylum seeking system for 2 years and 8 months. I found people there who were saying, I've been there for 6 years. I've been here for 6 years. I left them there and they are still there. And I left nearly 2 years ago. They are still in the system. How are they still in the system? You should hear the things that they say about the management in the centers that look after us, the things that they say about the food. There is no gratitude whatsoever. They just talk bad all the time. Why? Because that is something we come with from Africa. That's how we are in Africa. In Africa, we're very ungrateful. We're always bad mouthing our presidents, bad mouthing our leaders. Why do you think Africa is in such a mess? Because there's no honor. There is no honor. We don't pray for our leaders. Instead, we criticize and we condemn. And then we come here and we think that's what we're going to do. Between your ancestors and the Irish ancestors, somebody is coming to get you. So you have to be careful.
Ooh.
Somebody is coming to I'm not saying this because it's not light, it's serious. It is serious. Somebody, the Irish will reject you, and the people back home will call you back. And if you're supposed to be here, you're going to miss your destiny. You will miss it. And then you will live a life that has had no meaning whatsoever. And what a life to waste. It's
Fan-
serious. Immigration is
Wow.
spiritual. It is not a joke.
Ruth, that is so powerful. Somebody is going to get you. That's going to be my takeaway for this one. You know, while she was speaking, I was just thinking about two things. The first thing being the story of Joseph in the Bible when he got taken away, really terrible circumstances, and was taken away to Egypt, and how he rose from somebody that was picked from a pit to becoming the ruler of the land, and even
Mhm.
preparing for his family and Israel to come and to the land of Egypt
Mhm.
ahead of the famine 7 years earlier, or about 10 years earlier, probably, according, if you think about the story. But that is the honor that you talked about. And in everything that Joseph did, he honored where he was, even in the terrible circumstances he found himself. The one thing we can pick from his story is honor all true. And that's how he rose through the ranks. And so my question to you is, we see a lot of videos that a lot of new migrants do, talking down on the new country that they are in, about the suffering and making all, and those videos, we know how viral they go and how they put, migrants in Canada and UK, especially in a bad light. What do you advise as somebody who has the knowledge that we've just received from you do when we see those videos online? How do we react to them? And how can we even help them, those people who think that doing those things are okay?
Well, the first thing would be realignment. And how do we realign? We repent. We have to repent of the sin of dishonor. We have to realign them. How did you get here? Are you even supposed to be here? Is this where you're supposed to be? Or are you just coming because there's a great exodus to Ireland or a great exodus to the UK? Are you coming because you've heard all the stories about how you're earning £20 an hour, and when you convert that amount in Naira or in Kwacha, it sounds like a lot. And you're thinking when you come here, you're going to pay the same price for things. No, it doesn't work like that. So we have to realign those people. Like if somebody comes to me like that, I always handle it on a spiritual level. So the first thing is repent of your sins, say sorry, and then change your character, because your internal has to match your external. If you're going to work with a grumbling spirit, you're not going to have a good time. You're not going to enjoy yourself. You're not going to do well at your job. Constantly complaining. A complaining spirit is horrible. We have to be grateful. So those people that find themselves in those situations, my first question is, are you supposed to be here? Are you in the right place? Because maybe God's grace is not waiting for you in the UK. Maybe it's in Canada. Maybe that's what you need to do. And then we start working on your internals. We start working on your character. Repent, cleanse yourself of all this evil that you have in your heart, and start working on yourself and improving yourself. And then when your insides change, the outside comes back automatically.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ruth, for that. Ivy, how many more minutes does Ruth have?
So she's bang on time because she had 10 minutes of speaking time and 5 minutes for questions.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question. Tempted
two
to
more
ask a
minutes.
question. Yeah, 2 more minutes. So there are a lot of people that come from Africa that say that when they commit crime or do all sorts of things, they're saying that they are paying back for what the white man did when they came to Africa. What do you think?
Well, thank you for fighting our battles, but please don't. That is a very it's a very superficial way of looking at a really large problem. And you can't you can't go and commit it. How much crime can you do as a person to pay back for colonialism and imperialism and slavery? Like just as one man, already you can see that is somebody that is being used of the devil to spread hatred and pain. That person is being used of the devil. There's no other way for me to put it. So, what do we say to that person? We are going to pray for you. That's the only thing I can do, because I can't. What am I gonna do, me as a single person, to get retribution for the atrocities done on Africa by the West? What am I gonna do as a person? How much crime can I go and commit to try and correct? Is that even right? An eye for an eye? That is not
Perfect.
correct. That is not correct. What you do is you come and you love on them. You don't commit crimes. You come and you love on them. And then they are the ones that will turn around and say, we are sorry for what we did to Africa, because actually Africans are good people. You show them who you are. Africans are people who are rich in love and ubuntu and coming together and community. We do that so well. It is the reason colonialism happened. We opened our shores and our borders and we said, come in, come and live with us, come and teach us. That it was our ubuntu that put us in that situation. That is who we are. So you don't leave your home country to come here and then make a silly comment like that. No, the devil is just using you to perpetuate the hatred that continues to exist between Africa and the rest of the world. Do not let the devil use you.
Fantastic, Ruth. Thank you so much. That's it. 15 minutes
Thank
off.
you. Yes.
And guys,
Okay.
IB, I'll leave you.
Yes, guys, listen, I know that this is the intro again, Ruth, like I was saying, whenever I hear you speak about this, you rejuvenate me. And the thing is, it's not even about your relationship with the country. It's even about your relationship we could extrapolate this in so many different ways, with your husband, with your friends, with your family, but I digress. And for everyone else who's listening, if this is the message that you want to take away today, you want to hear Ruth talk about this in detail, you want to you want to take more away from her, don't forget we have the breakout session where you can go into the spiritual room and have a one-on-one conversation with Ruth. Ruth, thank you very much. We'll not take questions until the end. Okay, right. So that was a very powerful intro. It goes that you have look, listen, you got to come strong here because this is too powerful. And yeah, so we have a Gosa. Don't forget, a Gosa is let me remove the spotlight from Ruth. She's still spotlighting. Okay, Gosa, you're next. And you're in Canada. How long have you been in Canada?
We've been here like close to 9 years.
Wonderful. Have you heard the song in Canada? In Canada, it's a migration kind
Yeah,
of
I
song.
heard
Well,
it.
this,
I've heard
exactly
several
the Gen
songs.
Z thing now.
I've heard
So
several.
wonderful. Okay, so you've been in Canada for 9 years. So I mean, so you could, I think you're at that midway point where you're still, you're still fresh, but not fresh enough. So you're just in that middle ground where you're able to tell people about what they need to know when coming into Canada, how they need to prepare, what kind of research that they need to do. And please, like I say, I've been in the UK for about 20 years and I'm still learning. So, talk to us oldies as well who've been in these countries for long about what we also need to shake us up and get us, in the right, mindset for 2024, please. Thank you.
Okay.
You have
Hi.
10 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. My name
So
is David Obasaki. So I'm in Canada. Migrated here 2015 with my family, my wife and 2 kids. Basically, I'm not a professional. I'm just going to be giving you my passionate angle to things in terms of making the plans to relocate. Okay, like Ruth said earlier, she mentioned the spiritual power. I think that's the starting point, basically, that you have to be, there has to be a conviction. So if it's The prayer part, if you're a Christian, you pray about it, and you know that this is what you want to do, because it's not a walk in the park. The process is, you have to be determined, you have to be convinced, you have to be all in that this is what you want to do. And like she mentioned, moving from your country where you know where you've lived all your life, where you were born, to a new location is a big deal. It's a big deal for you, for your family, for your kids and everything. So that's why there has to be intentionality, right? You need to know that this is what I want to do. You need to be convinced beyond doubt that this is where God is asking me to go to, because there'll definitely be roadblocks even before you leave. So that's why my angle of thought is always that, for you, and this is not saying that when you do all that research and everything, that doesn't say that you'll have it easy when you get in there. Because like I said, you're moving into a new country. And that's the essence for you to want to do all the research everything from the food, roads, location, safety, whatever it is. Do everything that you can to get the information that you need, right? So the starting point, like Ruth said, is to start from the spiritual angle. Pray about it, be convinced that this is what I want to do. This is what the Lord or your God or your conviction has given you the permission to do, that you need to move. Now, once that is done, like I always said, it's always necessary for you, because even if you're going to move let's say within your country, let's say you're moving from the north to the south, or let's say you're moving from Port Harcourt to Lagos, I believe you need to do some form of research. You just don't pick your bag and move, right? How much more when you have to move to a new country where there are different values, different systems, and all that. That's even the much more reason why you have to do those research. You have to research. And for me, I'm going to be speaking basically about Canada, right? So people have heard, lots of people come back to me to ask me, how does this work? How do we do this? I give my bit of information to them, but I always point them back to the Canada website, Canada government website. It's called IRCC, right? Once you go in there, the information there is enormous. It's enormous. So you can do any search. You can search out for anything you want. Before we left Nigeria, my wife was basically the driving force, in terms of the researching. She was detailed to the T that she needed to get all the information all outlined for us, where the children would school, down to which church would attend. I remember before leaving Nigeria, during the course of the planning, we had two cities that we really wanted to live in. Initially, it was going to be London, Ontario. And then, of course, we then looked at the various possibilities in terms of employment and everything. London, Ontario is a smaller city compared to Mississauga, Ontario. So we just figured that, okay, let's concentrate more on Mississauga. By the time we got convinced that it was Mississauga that we're going to be living in, we're going to be staying in, we had to do research about what's the crime rate in Mississauga, where are the safest places to live in Mississauga, what are the schools like, which are the best schools. Like I said, even to churches, what are the churches that are available in Mississauga? And then, of course, we were in a particular church in Nigeria, and then we saw one that kind of like fits the bill, kind of like aligns with the church we're coming from. And so before we left, we had already made up our mind that that's the church we'll be attending. And that's basically the church I attend up to today, myself and my family. So it has to be a total thing. You don't just get up and go. Now, you made mention you asked Ruth about this, about people making videos and saying all sorts of stuff. The reason why they do that is because there wasn't much research. They needed to leave. Maybe they had the resources or whatever was prompting them to leave. They just got up and left. and you get up and you leave to a new location, like I said, there's no way you can completely get into the system without difficulties. I've seen videos of people crying about snow, about how it's too cold, and I mean, if you knew that was the situation, you probably determined before you left Nigeria if it was Canada you were going to go to or some other country that doesn't have that much cold, right? And even within Canada, there are places, Ontario, there's snow everywhere. But I mean, if you're thinking to go to the northern areas where you have much more snow and the cold is more severe, that's your choice. If you go there and you feel that you can't live in a minus 40, what's it called, cold environment, that's your choice because you left without doing the necessary work. So essentially, like she even mentioned about Abraham living is God calling Abraham out. And I wanted to point that out that even when Abraham was on his way, he had to go to Egypt, right, because of the famine. But he asked his wife to claim that she is his sister, right? Now, if he hadn't done the research, he knew that if he goes into Egypt, there's a possibility that the Egyptians would take her and kill him. And basically, if you go down the scripture, if you go down, it says, and it was as what Abraham thought, because when he came into Egypt, the princes of Pharaoh saw her and commended her to Pharaoh. So basically, if Abraham did not know anything about Egypt, he probably would not have told the wife, you know what, don't tell them I'm your wife or you're my wife, tell them you're my sister. And then, so he knew about where he was going. So it wasn't completely clueless as to the cities around him, the countries around him. So that's why, in my take, do as much research as possible. Research the schools. Now you have a situation where the government is tightening things up for students, for all manners of entry possibilities. They're tightening things up. So that's even the more reason why you need to be sure of what you're doing. What is your process? Research. You got to do it. If you don't, it's going to come back to bite you. I'm telling you. Those who did enough research, my wife did so much research that I was telling her the other day, I will go to bed and she'll still be up at 2. I mean, she finishes from work about 8 o'clock in the evening, about 7, 8 o'clock, comes back, make dinner, and, she'll be up on with the internet trying to figure out some things, checking out places, worst cities in Ontario, best cities in Ontario, what are the places to check, to look out for, what are the jobs to go for. We did all that. But even with all that we did, there were still cultural shocks that we came into. So it's not like you're going to be completely immune, but it will give you a better platform, a better base to land because you have information. There's not, and like we said, information is never useless. It's never pointless. So if you gather as much information as you can, it will be useful once you get into that city. So for Canada, like I tell people, you just get up and go and think that it's not like the US. I mean, I think so. It's not like the US where you can come in. If you don't have your SIN, social insurance number, if you don't have that SIN, you can't exist. You can't really do much here. You can't get a job. You can't do much at all in anything. So people come in and you think that, you come in, like somebody was asking that if they come in as a visitor, they can change the visa to study or to work permit. I said, well, do you want to come in? Because you have a 6 months window, right? If you come in as a visitor and you want to change it, you have a 6 months window to get either a job or get into school. Right now, the schools is even much difficult. So you have that 6 months to get into a job or a school. And then if you don't do that, if you don't get it in 6 months, you have to go back to Nigeria or to the country you're coming from. And then you spend all that money and you wasted it. So do you want to do that? Or do you want to be sure that you have all your documentation correctly and you file in so that you come in and you have enough time to get things started? it's a big, big, big step. And I say this to everybody that cares to listen. Do not make a move unless you know where you're going to. Make sure you understand the location where you're going to before you make that move. Yeah, so
Right.
that's my take.
That perfect. That was just bang on time. Thank you so much. I was taking notes as you were speaking, and I am somebody as a business analyst that likes to connect dots. And so if we follow the story from Ruth's presentation about the spirituality of it, and then you mentioned the snow, for example, I'm like, and the constant moaning and complaining about it. And that's the block and the resistance right there, right? And
Yeah,
it sounds like, from what I can understand, when the more resistance you have towards the land that you're going into, the less research you and information you have about the land you're going into, the more challenge you're going to find in that
yeah,
country.
definitely.
So, um, I just wanted to ask you quickly, what is the biggest challenge that a new migrant would have in Canada? Just pick up on one thing, and what can they do to overcome it?
It's integration. It's integration. And I don't know if Ivy saw a few people that commented on this program's poster when you put it up on LinkedIn. There's a lady there that commented and said she's seen me for a long while. I mean, she made a comment on my LinkedIn page for the first time for a very long time. The thing is, when we got in, we didn't even, like I said, we did a lot of research, but we didn't know that part, right? We didn't know that part. I remember myself and my wife, we were walking past a mall. I think it was in a mall, shopping area. And we saw this office, and it's called Newcomers to Canada. And we said, oh, you know what, let's just go in there and find out a few things. Because somebody accommodated us for 2 weeks, but they weren't very forthcoming with information, right? They weren't forthcoming with assistance in terms of where to go to for help and all that. So we just walked in there. Right there, those guys gave us, I think they gave me a voucher for $250, which was a Canadian government's issue, right? They told us, they linked me up to this lady that made a comment on my LinkedIn page. They linked me up. She's a job. They cannot help you get a job. So they'll tweak your resume. They will help you out with all the necessary stuff to get you ready for the job market. And actually, right there, I was attending those sessions, and right there, one of those days, they scheduled a company came in to do an interview to take in people from that particular location, and that was where I got my first job. And like Ruth said, do not despise anything. See, well, first and foremost, let me answer your question. You have to get linked to information centers, and they are everywhere. The government sponsors them. It's sponsored by the government. They are privately run, but it's sponsored by the government. So as soon as you get in, locate one around your vicinity. There's always one within your location. There's always one. You go in there and you ask every stupid and intelligent questions that you can ask, because they are there to provide you with help for you to be able to move on to the next level. Now, people come in, and I saw a video of a lady saying that she's very lonely. There's nobody around. No, I was like, how is that possible? You attend a church, you have all those facilities around you. How is that possible for you? Because part of what Canada does to immigrants is that they understand the need for community. So when they come in, they expect you to be able to link up to those institutions they've already put in place for you to get that sense of community, because that's the only way that you can advance yourself and make progress. If you do that on your own, if you do it on your own, you're going to run into troubles. A big, 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 big deal. Big deal. So yeah, I could share a few contacts, but like I said, whenever you're living, your research will even give you that information. Wherever you're going to be in, if you're going to be in Mississauga, if you're going to be in British Columbia, wherever, it will give you locations where you have information centers that you can access.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that. Very insightful. Thank you. Okay, right. So can we, IBD, is there anything else you wanted to add, or can we move to the next speaker, Mam Rosa? I know that she pressed for time. So if we haven't got any other questions
Okay.
for David, we'll move to Mama Rosa. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so right, Mama Rosa, are you ready?
Mama Rosa, yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Sorry, look, listen, as soon as you called, I saw that. I thought that's going to be my, my claim
No, I like
to
that.
get
I like
into
it.
your soul. And I mean, just to reiterate, you are a very, you're passionate about new migrants, about refugees. I see that you've done so much work and advocacy for refugees. You just recently organized the Festival of Belonging
I
with
did,
the
yes.
International Community Dynamics in Kirk. And
Yeah.
you're a board member of the African Solidarity Center, where you serve as a vice chairperson. So, I mean, who better?
Yeah, I've just become the acting chairperson actually, and I'm just back from a member meeting of the Africa Center. So it was really, really interesting. About 60 people there coming to join us to do the right things in Ireland.
Perfect. So we want to draw from all
So
of that energy. Thank you very much for being here today.
yeah, I
We're
could
very
talk
busy
for
ladies.
hours, but
But
I'll
you
try
have
to
10
keep it
minutes
short.
today. So give us
I
the
know,
key
yes.
points we need to get away with.
And thank you very much for letting me join here. I'll just talk a little bit about myself. My name is Rosa Mol, and I'm Belgian. Okay, I'm not from Ireland. I live in Ireland for 26 years now, and just like everyone else, I'm a migrant. I'm just lucky to be from Europe, so for me it's a bit easier. We can just move to any country in the European Union, but still there are hurdles, there are things that you need to be prepared for. And as everybody else has said, research, research, research. And that's the best advice anyone can give. If you are planning to move, and I know I'm talking to mostly professionals here, so if you are planning to move for work reasons, find work, let's say in Ireland, make sure that your qualification is accepted in Ireland. That's number one. If not, what can you do to make them accepted? What kind of courses you have to do? Do you need the license for what you're doing? These are all little things that you can research yourself, or you can contact someone like us. We have recruitrefugees.ie. It's open to migrants, to anyone who wants to move or who has moved actually to Ireland. And we do a lot of that kind of research as well. And then I would advise you to have a look, if you want to find a job, for example, to have a look at the critical skills. So in Ireland, you need to, if you want to come here, you have to have a work visa. Okay. And to get a work visa, you need work. And the work has to pay a minimum of 30,000 euro. Now, as a professional, that should be possible. But I will send a link later. There's an Immigrant Council of Ireland where you can go to the resources, and there they have a link to all the critical skills, and that's regularly updated. So what does a critical skill mean? It's a list of skills that Ministry of Foreign Affairs makes, and in there, those who have the critical skills, like, for example, IT is a big one at the moment, also construction engineers of any kind. Those critical skills, you will get a visa, okay, a work visa, but you first need to find a job or an internship or something like that. So if you come here on a critical skills visa, you can come, you have to work for 2 years with the same company. And then you can, after that, you can change to another company or whatever. You can also bring, then once you're here for a while and they see that you're very well established and all that, you can bring your family over. So these are all things to consider if you want to be successful. Okay, it's not an easy task. But it works, and some people do really, really well here in Ireland. And especially in the IT sector, there are a lot of jobs available. So we set up with our organization because we saw that it was difficult for people to find work. And that's exactly what we do. It's getting people ready, job ready, when they arrive here. See, do they need upskilling? Some people need more English classes? Can we find maybe a way of learning faster through internships? You might get a paid internships, and those things are all very, very important. And then living here, okay, is also different. So, as I said, you need to change your mindset. It is if you live in a certain country, and I suppose it's been talked about a lot already, please don't feel like you're any less than the other people. You are as valuable as anybody else. And I see from experience that many migrants who come here, feel like they're not the same as the others. They're a little bit, and especially unfortunately Africa, people from African countries have that feeling that they're not good enough. And it could be a consequence of colonialism. I don't know, but you have to fight it. You have to accept that you are a person, a citizen living in Ireland, and adapt yourself to that feeling. You're not any less than anybody else. It's extremely important to be aware of that and to dare to go out there and find work. Okay, some people come here and they will be cleaning the floors forever, not like Ruth, who then went on and became a data analyst, and she's moving on, and she's a star. Some people just don't get that courage, and that is really important that you are aware of that you don't need to feel any less, and that you're very well prepared. Also, things like schools for the children, it can be difficult. In the beginning, it depends on the school. Some schools are very, very diverse and have people from 50 different countries. And then you have the other schools where there's never been an African before. So that's also very important to choose where you can live. And then I want to warn people, if you are planning to come to Ireland or the UK for that matter, but certainly Ireland, there's a serious housing crisis. So research that as well. People who want to live in Dublin, apartments are so expensive. I even know now about mattresses being rented out, half of a mattress for €500 a month in
What?
Dublin, and you don't know who has the other mattress. Yeah. That is happening.
Half of the mattress.
Also, half of a mattress, and you don't know who else, who is going to be your partner on the mattress. It doesn't happen often, but it happens. And I know people who've done it. Okay. Also, apartments that have been rented out in the day for the night workers, and at night for the day workers. So please be very, very careful when you go look for housing. And very often, I mean, now I see more and more people from African countries moving outside in rural islands, and there it's again a completely different system. And that's why I talk about children going to school, to a school where they've never seen African kids before, for example. So we have to be prepared, and your children have to be prepared. That is going to be new for everyone, but try and be open and try and find connections. And I think the best way to find connections and to network is to get involved in local things. There are sports clubs, dance clubs, whatever. You can join them and start talking to people. Bring your kids to school and start talking to the other mothers and stuff like that. So it's really about saying, okay, I live here now, I belong here, I'm part of this society, and I'm going to live my life in Ireland that way. I think my 10 minutes are nearly up, but so it's about research. It's about valuing yourself and being constantly aware of who you are, loving yourself, and also accepting the differences around you, because the weather is different, the color of the people is different. Sometimes you go to a village, you won't understand the word over the West Cork accent, for example. So you have to be prepared for those things, and you can only be prepared by looking things up on real good websites. I also see immigration counselors on Facebook who are probably not very genuine. So be extremely careful. You should not be having to pay for any advice. You can get it on the Immigrant Council of Ireland website, and the citizens' information is also very, very, very useful to look things up and what you can do. And then the critical skills list is really important if you want to find work, and you contact companies and you can find the work and you'll get a visa straight away.
Now, Rose,
I think that's the most important thing.
Rose, sorry to cut you because I'm just, IB, how many minutes do we have?
I can see it's 10
Yeah, I
minutes.
think it's just, right in time.
Okay, so 10 minutes up. Yeah, I want to ask you this
Yeah.
question. I'm sitting on the seat of people who are interested in coming to Ireland. So what's the first thing that they do? Go to my Immigrant Council of Ireland?
Yeah. So
And
Immigrant Council, immigrantcouncil.ie. That's the website, okay? And then you click on resources, and then there's a link saying coming to Ireland, working in Ireland. You click on that, and it gives you all the information you need of how to apply, of what the critical skills are. It gives you a link to the critical skills page on how to apply for a visa. Everything is there. And it's really, really important that you look that up and that you work with that.
And what about the company? Is it easy to get companies? Like, some people would say, okay, so do I need to pay? Because there's this thing about you having to pay sponsors to.
No, that's not in Ireland. So in Ireland, what you have to do is, so you have to find a job to get a work permit. Sponsors, that's Australia, America, and all that. But you need to have a contract that earns you 30,000 a year minimum. Okay. And then so that is really important, because otherwise you won't get your visa.
Fantastic. So I just want to be sure that in Ireland, you don't pay for sponsorship visas. Nah.
And be very careful, because I can see it. I've seen it on Facebook. There are people advertising themselves as consultants for this and consultants for that, and it's really not necessary. And if you have questions, there's a helpline from the Immigrant Council as well, and the refugee, where they help you. If you have any questions, just ask them to the people who really know and who do nothing but that. Okay, that's really important.
Rose, one more question before I let you go.
Yeah.
If there's anyone who is interested in coming to Ireland and they want to contact you, can they contact you? Do you have an email? Or
I don't hear you.
I said, if there's anyone who is interested in coming to Ireland and
hello,
can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, so I was asking that if there's anyone who is interested in coming to Ireland and they need more information, do you have a website? Do you have an email?
Yes.
I will put it in the link, because
you can email me at. So the website is Recruit Refugees. Yeah, recruitrefugees.ie is my website, and you can also go to rose@recruitrefugees.ie. You're happy, I'm happy to help to give you all the answers you need, because 10 minutes is short, and it's a lot of information that you're going to need to come here. But do send me an email. I'll be happy to answer.
Recruitrefugees.ie, yeah? Is it? Okay. So IB, any other question?
Not from me, no. Thank you very much, Mama Rosa. Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to leave, because I'm in Dublin and I have to go and catch a train. Yeah. So
we
my apologies for that, but thank you so much for letting me come here and say my thing.
Okay, so Rosa, what we'll do
and if there's any question, please email.
Okay, so can you just send me the email? I can put it on the link.
Or yeah, you can type it on the chat as well.
Yeah, I will put it in the chat.
Great.
Yeah, I will put it in the chat. It's no
Perfect.
problem.
Thank you very much. So there you have
Okay.
it, Mama Rosa. I didn't have enough time,
Okay,
a
thank
lot of
you.
time. You're welcome. So yes, she talked about internships. I think the key word for me is do not feel like you're less valuable. Don't feel like you're not good enough. You've got to fight that feeling when it comes because it is not true. Be aware of the housing crisis. And when you're thinking about moving into Ireland, think about the location. There are rural parts where you might be the only black person in the room. So that you should be conscious of, value yourself, be accept the differences, and also key into the critical skills required in the country that you're looking into so that you can align yourself with those skills and probably skill up on them to make it easier for you to find work when you go to those countries. Perfect. Thank you very much. And she shared some valuable resources which we're putting in the chat as well. Okay, now this is going to be a very exciting one. I think parents are going to love this one, and those who are intending to have children in the countries that they find themselves in, please listen very keenly to Mariah Amao, who is I think she's a deputy head teacher in London actually, and so she has a very good knowledge about what we need to be aware of to understand what children face when they newly migrate, and even for parents who are here, you have a lot to take away about what to be aware of, some of the ways that you can be skilled up to support your children as they interact with the education system in the UK. So, Mariah, if you're ready, I'm going to highlight you. Please, you have 10 minutes. It's now 7:04, so by 7:14, we would be rounding up with your speech. Thank you.
Thank you, IB. My name is Mariah Amao, and I'll correct IB. Thank you for promoting me anyway. So that's something I key into. I'm an assistant head teacher, not a deputy
Assistant.
head. Yeah.
What's the
But thank you
difference?
for that.
Sorry. What's the
Sorry?
difference? What's the difference?
There is a hierarchy. It depends on the school. You have executive head teachers, then you have a head teacher, then you have a deputy head teacher, then you have an assistant head teacher. But assistant heads and deputy heads do the same job, but it's just.
So that means you're a deputy head teacher, assistant. Don't worry, you're already there.
I claim it. Thank you so much. I claim that. So as I say, my name is Mariah Amao. I'm an assistant head teacher. I work in an inner London school. We are an all-through school. So that is a nursery to sixth form. And I will be talking about, when you migrate into a different country, the expectations for parents and children, and all the other speakers, have keyed into different things, because David was talking about research. Research is very, very important. And Ruth also spoke about the spiritual aspect of things, like that. So parents have to be very aware of this. First, I'll look at the definition of holistic development just to explain to people. So where you're thinking about the whole well-being of your child, because you're looking at the social, emotional, physical, mental, and intellectual growth of a person. So we look at everything that concerns the child. So when you're relocating, it's very, very important to think about your child also when you're relocating, to think about the feelings of your child also, how they'll fit into a place, like that. And it is very important that you do a research about where you're going to, the schools in that area. It is very important to ask questions that do they have teachers that look like them there, so that they can fit in, people that they can relate to. Do they have children that look like them also in these schools that they are going into? And you think about the school culture. You find out about the school culture and the values of the school. Are those the values you want for your children? It is very, very important to ask questions. You are allowed to ask questions. You go into the school, you ask to have a visit where you can walk around the school with your child. Your child sees the school and sees if they fitting into the school. You ask about the curriculum, because it's not necessarily only about the academics also, but academics is important in a school, because the British curriculum is different, because our children, even though they learn maths, English, in different countries, when they come here, they do struggle a lot with the writing, because our children are more good with maths. So when they come in here, it's a different field to writing, because these are things that they haven't seen, like that they're talking about. They have to be very imaginative to write stories and all, and they struggle with things like that. So it's good to ask questions. It's good when parents are come with the report of your child from the school that they're coming from, because that really helps the school that your child is going into, that the teacher knows the expectations, what to put in place for your child. They should ask questions about the settling in plan that your child would have when your child comes in. Do they have a buddy system? What's going to be put in place to settle in your child? In most schools, you have people that are called homeschool link workers. They work with parents and children that are coming into the school. You should ask to speak to them to know what the school is going to be able to offer to your child. This is very, very important. And parents should try and speak to other parents also, make friends, get to know other parents in the school to find out more about the school. There's something called Ofsted that you can go on the internet to find out about the school, the attainment of the school, to see how the school is doing, if that's the best fit for your child. So these are things that are very, very important. And then again, Ivy wanted me to go on to talk about county lines, because I spoke about that in one of the sessions I did. I would explain what county line means. County lines refers to the practice where criminal gangs exploit children and vulnerable individuals, to transport and sell drugs from one area to another. And I know one of the speakers spoke about, knowing about the area you're going to, that you should research about the area, know the people that live around there, what happens around there. That is very, very important, to know where you're moving to, if it will be safe for your child, because you need to safeguard your child. You have people who go around schools and they look for vulnerable children. They know children who've just moved into the country, from the way they speak, the way they move around, and they tend to befriend children like this. And most times when our children come in, because they're trying to fit in, you see that your child is a bit withdrawn, and they try to befriend children and give them attention, and try to be their friends. And then children then befriend them, in the sense that they go to shops around the schools, mostly McDonald's, chicken shops, and they try and buy things for them. And then children then get indebted to them, and they then integrate them into gangs, and making them transport and sell drugs for them. And parents need to be very open with their children and have this open communication with your child, because your child is coming to a new country. You have to make sure that your child is safe. Talk to your child all the time, find out if they are comfortable in school, and they talk about their experiences, their concerns about the school. And parents also need to educate themselves also about things that are happening around, like that, and be familiar with things, especially lots of gadgets now that parents give to children. Our children now are so exposed to the internet. They go and you don't have all this parental guidance, where children are underage. They are going on WhatsApp, they are going on roadblocks, different things. You see underage children listening to explicit lyrics on air, the music and things like that. So parents need to educate their children about such things. And you need to watch your child in the sense that if you see changes like in the behavior, if your child becomes suddenly there is this secrecy or unexplained possession, where your child now has expensive things that they are bringing home and all that, you have to ask them who they are associating with, because they tend to entice children and give them gifts and things like that. So you've got to be very aware. And parents need to know, the friends that their children are making, because you're coming to a new country. You need to know the friends that your children are making, their social circle, and ask questions, and try to meet those friends, because I do know when you come into a new country, you are very busy because of work and things like that, and you're not really talking with your child. It is very important to ask questions, to build that relationship with your child and talk to your child. And again, it's very good, to set clear boundaries and expectations for your child. You discuss the risk of criminal involvement and emphasize the importance of making positive choices, because they're making new friends, they're going to a new place and things like that, and they tend to copy bad behavior. So you still have to instill the positive things that your child has had, and make sure that they are following those, really, because our culture is very important, and making sure that that is still being portrayed in the home and in schools when the children go into school. And again, it's about educating your child about building resilience, strengthening your child's resilience by fostering self-esteem, because most children lose their self-esteem and things like that. So like fostering self-esteem, their coping skills, and their sense of purpose. It's very important, to praise the child all the time, and making sure that they are engaging in activities that promote positive development for them. Mama Rose spoke about joining clubs, social clubs and all, where they can interact, make new friends, get to know people around. That helps a lot. And then there are lots of help around where people can seek professional help, and to get professional help to support them. We've got school counselors in school that help support children depending on the needs of your child, because that's a lot that children take on. Or every child is different, and that's what parents have to know. Every child is different. Some children can go to any country and they'll fit in really well, while another child, it will take a longer time, for them to fit in, because they're meeting new people they have never met before. They are making new friends. The expectation is different for them. Most children are aware of the way they speak. They're very conscious about the way they speak when they go into a new school and things like that. So you just have to let your child know that you have to be proud of who you are. And again, it's about talking about where you're from, because most of the children don't even know things about Africa. So this is where they can shine and talk about things that are in Africa, because a lot of people are very ignorant, and they think Africans still live on trees. So children can talk to them about the schools they are coming from, what they learn, things that they see. And this is very intriguing even for the teachers, because some teachers have never been to Africa, some teachers have never flown anywhere, so they like to ask questions from migrant children and get to know about their countries and learn from them. So everyone is learning really in class. And
Thank you. Yeah, Mariah.
sorry.
Is there any other critical point you wanted to pass across before I stop you there?
Yeah, I think really is more about community engagement, getting involved in the community programs and activities that promote positive youth development. That is very, very important. And David also spoke about research. Research is very important. Please do research about the schools and know about the school culture that you want your child to go into. That's very important.
Wonderful. I feel like this one is the one that I've not struggled with the most, but this one is a lot to take in, because you've got the children at stake here. And I feel like with this, there's a lot of it can be challenging in the sense that as a parent, you're coming into the new country, you're also learning these new things. You're trying to be resilient, you're also understanding the culture, and then you now have to also support your child in that journey as well. And a lot of what we have to do as parents is about learning first and changing first before we can then pass that on to our children. And the other bit about how the world is changing so fast, and the role that we parents have to play, knowing that our the tools that we have are different in Africa. We're in Africa where we can shout or hit or beat or whatever, and it works. But you have to now develop communication skills. You have to have a different skill set. You have a different mindset to be able to guide your child right in this country as well. But even with all of that, I think for me, it's also the time. As a parent, you're trying to, move forward on the financial front, but then you also have to be present for your children as well. How do you meet that? There's a gap there where you have to do so much work, and then you also have to help your children and being present as well. How do we as parents bridge that gap? That would be my main question. You can make it very short, please. Give us a key takeaway here.
Yeah, Ivy, it's really just what you're saying. I also came in from Nigeria. I used to work in Nigeria. I was a teacher in Nigeria before I came here, and I've been here for 20 years. So it's all about asking questions and making time. It's about making, time to communicate, with your child, communicate with others, asking questions, getting involved in things. I know we are busy people that we're working because we do make a lot of excuses. There's no time. There is time. You have to make that time because it is very important to ask questions, to engage and involve yourself in activities because your child always comes first. Even though we have to work for that money to provide for them, you still have to make that time, for them. It's multitasking, really. We women, we're so good at multitasking. It's multitasking and doing all these things, asking questions, talking to your child, being involved, with communities and asking questions. That is how you also empower yourself and you empower your child.
Fantastic.
Wonderful.
Mariah,
Thank you
just
very
1 minute, just 1 minute. Mariah, discipline.
Yes.
Discipline. Are we allowed to twy? Small on the wrist.
Yeah, you are allowed to smack, but you are allowed to smack with an open arm. You are not meant to use
not like this.
Not like that with an open arm on the bottom and things like that. You are allowed to do that, but we do encourage parents not to do that. We do because it doesn't work when you smack a child, because you would notice that most of us, our parents smacked us where we were younger, and it didn't make any change. It's when we grew up, we thought about positive things and thinking about things that are good, that would enable us, to be good members of the society. I think for me, what works with me is talking to your child, telling your child why that act is bad. Because we always say to parents, it is the behavior of the child. It is not the child. It is the behavior. So you are talking about that behavior, that it is wrong, and then trying to let your child understand that that behavior is wrong. So you can deprive your child of things, but talking is very important so that the child understands why that is wrong, and so that the child doesn't do it.
Mariah, time. Mariah, listen, just one more question.
Yeah.
Our culture is different back home.
Yes.
A lot of us have, in Nigeria, a lot of people have nannies and this and that, so they don't have time. Some of them don't go to pick up their children and all of that. How does it work in the UK? Is it important for you? Are they watching? Are the authorities watching the way you interact with the child's education? Because we hear a lot of stories where children are taken away from their parents.
Yeah, it's not because children are not engaging with their parents that they are taken away from their parents. Why that is a different issue is how parents treat their children. If you're maltreating the child, if you're neglecting the child, then that's why the child is taken. But here you do have childminders. That's why it's good, to interact with people and get involved with other parents, where they could be neighbors that can help you pick up your child and take your child home for you, like that. And then it depends on the age of the child, really, Ivy, because for secondary school, the child can be left at home, from year 7, children stay at home by themselves, like that. There's no law against that, but you just make sure that you educate your child not to open the door, for a stranger, and then there's a means of communicating with your child. For primary school age, you have childminders, you have after school clubs, where your child can go to, and then the child can be picked up at 6 o'clock. And some people do late payment, for these clubs if they are running late. So there are lots of things in place, to support parents and working parents.
Thank you. Thank you.
Perfect.
You're welcome.
Wonderful. Thank you very, very much. Okay, so obviously, if you want to talk more about your child, things you need to skill set you need to develop as a parent to support your child as you come into a new country, or even if you've been here for a while and you still need a bit more information about this, don't forget Maria will be in the breakout rooms as well. Okay, so and we've saved one of the best. No, everybody's the best, but again, I think Dr. Ijoma will come in as a forensic psychiatrist, a doctor, and mental health or well-being is really the bedrock of everything that we do, right? And he has the expertise to do just that. So, Dr. Jom, I'm not going to steal a shine anymore. For in the interest of time, I'm just going to put the spotlight on you now to just talk to us about what we need to know about how to keep ourselves mentally fit as we transition into a new country and all of that good information, please. I know you have a few slides to share, so let
Yeah,
us tell you when you share it.
I, I'm trying to share my screen.
It's working.
Is it? Can you? Ah,
We can't see. It
can
happens to me
you
a lot.
can you see that? Is it on
No.
No, not
PowerPoint?
yet.
No.
Not yet.
Right. Let's me quickly to see if I can do this. Can you see a PowerPoint slide?
Not yet.
Right. What can you actually see? Can you see my screen? Slides?
No, we can just see you
Okay, right.
and then the other participants. Yeah.
Okay.
It's all right. We'll just do what
We'll
we
just
have.
go this way. All right.
Talk it through.
Ah.
So your time, this is 25 past, so
Can
we
you see
can.
that?
Oh
Yeah.
yes, it's coming
Yeah.
up. Wonderful.
Thank.
Now
Right.
you need to go into presentation mode, right?
Right. Can you see the first slide?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Right, I'll start there. So I'll just go. In this talk, that's the title. It could impact heavily on the second generation immigrant. And I wanted to take it from the perspective of what can the individual do now as almost like prevention. Can you see the next slide?
Yes, we can.
That's good. One of the things I wanted to get across for the audience that are here is this kind of narrative of the hero's journey. A lot of stories are based in that. And it's often the people attending here, they've come here for a purpose. They're trying to make a transition. They're called in a quest. They're seeking something new that their current place doesn't give them. And often they arrive somewhere where they have a mentor, find knowledge, find support for the hero to help him on his journey. So I think really that's what a lot of the audience have come for, or think about it in that way. And then the other theme is that changing country also involves a transition of identity. So some of the things you have to cope with are changing country, but also as a consequence, your identity changes. So these are things people to keep in mind of their purpose when they start. Things might get rough. They need to keep it in. Why did they make the move? Why did they make the journey? And I wanted to move about the displacement, about altering identity. There's also, as you see, the cultural context, the shift in the culture from where you've moved from, and the social context of where you're moving to. And these are these are the types of things that happen in any displacement. For people choosing to migrate is voluntary. Some people, they're forced to migrate. So the usual, you're uprooted from the ground, your home, your possessions, your livelihood, the community structures you're used to, and you'll be isolated from your friends. And there'll be that transition from your whole social and economic status in the country that you came from is changed in the country you'll arrive to. And what about your children, those accompany you, your spouses? As people have mentioned, that people change at different speeds and have different transitions to make. And for the parents, that's something they keep in mind for the children. I wanted to bring in across this Maslow's hierarchy from psychology, something to guide you. So it's a triangular pyramid. At the bottom, the basic needs anybody needs to survive. At the top, what people aspire to. It's bearing in mind that when people make the transition to change, they're often at the top of their game at the country that they're in. They have the confidence to do that transition. But when they move to another country, their tasks are at the bottom of the hierarchy. Their status has changed. People are thinking they have to find the right clothing for the temperature and the climate, housing, things like that, schooling for their children. Those basic tasks are actually what they focus on. And some of the things we go on to is how to support people with the stresses whilst they're making those necessary transitions. And I just wanted to speak, it's from the science, sports science is about peak performance. So when you're undergoing a transition, it is normal to be stressed, anxious, normal to be depressed for periods. And that is proportionate to the challenges that will meet you. So sometimes is being at the peak of your game, how to perform under stress. Yeah, are you with me? So some of the things are expect to not be 100%, expect to be stressed, and practice stress management techniques before that transition. And also your children, how do you comfort them when they're stressed? One of the things, to perform at your peak, you will be aroused. And then it's monitoring that arousal and keeping it in the right boundary, as it were, to be useful. So it's turning stress, often mentally, into a challenge. And yep, I'll go to here. Right, sorry, I'll move to this one. And what helps is often from sports science, a positive mental attitude that people have looked on. Often that gratitude, affirmations, and that self-belief, and that links in what people have said about spirituality, and having that vision of what you're looking for. And so it helps not only the athlete, the family, the child cope better if they have the affirmation about how well they are. Yep. What you're trying to prevent, and people say, why do people become negative? In the environment that they move to, there might be attitudes that are common in most communities about immigrants. Yeah, how they are thought about that might be transferred to somebody that's come from another culture, from another country, and has to relocate to a new country where they will be seen as foreigners at first. And there might be projections and being devalued. And those affirmations help someone, have their resilience, their belief, and not take on the roles that might be placed on them. Right. So a lot of it is psychology. Often, if people are sometimes aware about their self-talk, then they can use, and a lot of athletes do this, use positive affirmations to counteract negative thinking and hence negative behavior. So I'll just go. So one thing to take away is that importance of the positive mental attitude. You will have challenges. It's normal. You will at times be frightened, be desperate, be depressed. Is that focus on the purpose of the journey? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And is mentally transferring a barrier into a challenge, feeling you have the self-worth and positive that you can overcome that barrier. That's what makes the difference. And a lot of people said, the research, you know, it will be a struggle. The research will help your preparations. Like any athlete, the practiced, more information you have, the more prepared you will be, the more resilient you will be. And I just wanted to end off. It's that positive mental attitude is not, and it's what is the measure of success. So is not how much money or whatever that you earn. Sometimes it is what you stood for, but also there will be challenges. What were the severity of the challenges that you stood against? So, in not all transitions are successful, but positively, you can learn and get something positive from it. And as as in, there's a Scottish thing about Robert the Bruce. His armies were defeated. He's fighting for independence for Scotland. He watches a spider making a web, and and he gets the belief back that if at first you don't succeed, it's a lesson. It's just try again. So thank you.
Fantastic. IB?
Thank you very much. That's amazing. Like I've never actually ever seen stress management um be explored using the Milo's hierarchy of needs, you know. And I think it was important to appreciate the fact that a lot of people, if you're able to actually make the move to migrate, you are actually at the upper echelon of the Maslow hierarchy of needs, right? Because you have been able to achieve, you've built up through the ladder. You're probably just underneath the self-actualization goals, and you're getting there. And then to come to a whole new country where you now have to build from the bottom up again. So you're getting, you know, trying to stabilize your sense of belonging, and then building onto your self-esteem, and then building onto, your career, getting to where you need to be in your career, then building up to self-actualization is a journey in itself, and it is going to be stressful. And that some of the basic things that we already know, positive affirmations, stress management, all of those things, visualizations, are still very important in keeping us grounded when we're facing those challenging moments that will surely come. So thank you very much for that. That's very helpful. Okay, I'll be jumping into your breakout room because I want to know more about this reflective practice as well. Okay, fantastic. Thank you very, very much for that. I think we're bang on time to be able to jump into the breakout rooms now. So, Ivy, do you want to give us a bit more insight to how that is going to work and what we can do?
I think that, well, the way I planned it, thank you, Ivy. The way I planned it is that there are rooms, so you can actually, I said to go in automatically. Yeah, so that's the thing. So have you seen
So
the
what rooms
breakout
have we got?
We have Immigration is Spiritual by Ruth, Research is Important by David, Your Child's Development by Moriah, Build Resilience by Dr. Ijoma. Wow, guys, the breakout rooms. I'm just going in and out of the breakout rooms, and it is amazing. My goodness. Wow, I really like this. Guys, listen, I've learned a lot today. Like really, really, really learned a lot. Oh my gosh. My gosh, it's so engaging. Very, very engaging. Very, very engaging indeed. I am very happy for this. I'm happy that my participants were fully engaged, and as a matter of fact, I have to extend the breakout rooms for a few more minutes. So that's it. Like, the reason why I'm doing this, or I decided to do this topic, is because migration or relocating, as the case may be, is not a walk in the park. And a lot of times, when you want to relocate, people don't tell you the truth. And I always say, and I'm going to say it again, that there is an underbelly crawling out of the woods when you relocate. And if you are not prepared, if you don't ask yourself the right questions, if you do not know about the battles, if you do not know about the kind of schools your children will attend, where you're going to live, the weather, even the critical skills, like the gaps that you need to fill, then you're going to be in trouble. Then you're going to be in trouble. I have seen a lot of people come, sell their properties and sell everything as if they are coming to heaven, and they get disappointed. So that's why I felt it's important that we do this. And the conversation is not over yet, because I have many more episodes. I mean, I think about 6 more episodes or thereabout of that have been dedicated to relocation. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So I'll just see if the breakout rooms are, so I still have 2 more minutes for the breakout rooms. Wow. Let's go check. I'll just go check. I'll go sneak back in and check. Yeah. So let's see. Yeah. Wow, 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 wow. Let's see what is happening. Let me see what's happening in the rooms. Okay. Hi, John. How are you? John, can you hear me? Oh, thank you so much for coming. It's almost over, though. Oh my God, I have to. Hi, how are you? Nice to see you. It's been, oh my God, you missed though. It's very interesting. Now I have to close the rooms. I think for me, this is the highlight of the program. It's the highlight of the program. All breakout rooms will close in 44 seconds. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Oh, wow. So you can unmute now. Yeah? Can you unmute?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can hear you.
Okay. Guys, please, 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 if you have your, okay. So guys, I don't know what to say. I mean, like, I've been wanting to do the breakout rooms for 2 years. And we didn't get the chance to do it. But today, I'm excited that we did it. And so again, as usual, we run out of time. But quickly, for my attendees, I have a YouTube channel called Ibinabo Enebi, or EB Speaks for short. EB Speaks. I would like you to help my channel grow by subscribing to my YouTube channel. It's Ibinabo Enebi, or EB Speaks. EB Speaks, you can see that on the screen. Then I'd like you to please follow me on my social media handles. I'm in LinkedIn, Ibinabo Enebi. I'm on Facebook, Ibinabo Enebi.
Sorry, could you unmute yourself? Sorry, I had to mute everyone because there was a background noise. So if you unmute yourself, please.
Okay. So you can follow me on my social media handles. And this, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe now. And so before we round up, I would Is there any closing remarks or anything that from the participants now? Is there anything you want to say? So the mic is open. You have just 5 minutes for that, for the participants' response.
Or where
Hi.
someone can reach you, where people can reach you as well.
Pardon? Yeah. From the participants' response, yeah. I mean the attendees, their response to the event. What do you think?
Hi, my name is Faye, and I just really want to thank you for sharing the link with me, IB, even for your namesake, I guess. When is the next one?
Sorry, you're on mute. Okay, unmute yourself.
I was unmuted. It keeps muting. I wanted to be in the other room, and my first question was, when is the next one? Because I just felt I needed to speak to each. I needed to be in each room. I'm the greedy one, okay? I wanted to be with Dr. Jeff as well, but I didn't get to do that. So when is the next session? It
Okay.
was a very insightful session, and thank you for, for putting this together.
Thank you so much. I'm going to do something. So Refresh to Relaunch is once a year, but I'm going to do something for mental health. We have not finished with the mental health yet. Haven't finished yet. We're going to talk about the mental health, the implication of mental health, or rather the implication of immigration on our mental health. So IB is going to share the link. You can follow me. I have programs because I'm doing the Jackpot series, so I have a lot to talk about. So just subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on my social media handles, and I would always advertise, and you would see. But thank you. Anyone else? Does anyone have anything to say? Anyone else?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you as well for putting such a thoughtful program together. It covered all essential areas, and I can only imagine the level of planning, getting guests and all that. Just well done. You're doing a lot. You're impacting people and in this critical point of our lives, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And as someone who said here, very insightful, very informative and interactive, we need another session ASP. Wow. Okay. Well, just follow me on my social media handles and follow me on and you would see all the all the adverts. Yeah. Anyone else? Tante?
Yeah, I wanted to say that thank you so much, Abby, for putting this together. I learned a lot, and I want to thank all the speakers for coming. Very insightful session. Please, I need Dr. Jeff's contact because honestly, he has a lot to do. I'm serious. His topic is so pregnant with meaning. When you talk about mental health, honestly, it's got a lot to do with it. And I feel that we can collaborate and do a lot together as well. So if you do not mind me
Okay.
asking.
So
Okay.
Dr. Jeff is up to you. Yeah, but you have to pay me now for the contact. Thank you, because I don't charge. So Messi.
I said that I've put something in the chat that I can be contacted through yourself or IB.
Okay, that's perfect. So yeah, so true IB. And Mercy, thank you, Dr. Jeff. Mercy.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, love.
Good evening, everyone. I sincerely want to appreciate every speaker here tonight. It's really, really so educative. I've learned so much, and the way the starting was something that was actually that gives me the energy to actually stay put till now. I will really love to do something with zero. Because sincerely speaking, I there's something that you said which really a lot people felt. Maybe when you are doing anything, you think you can do it on your own. When you don't talk God, when you don't put God in what you are doing, definitely you cannot go far. So I really want to appreciate her. I want to thank her for her really expressing that immigration is spiritual. If we know that life is spiritual, everything in life is spiritual. Kudos to you girls and everyone on the call. Thank you very much. God bless you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Anyone else? So thank you so much, Leah, for your message. I really appreciate it. Yes, you can follow me on LinkedIn as well. We'll connect on LinkedIn. So guys, my able guest speakers, do you have anything else to say? Any concluding thoughts? Guest speakers, concluding thoughts?
Concluding thoughts from me would be like I also said, do a lot of research, get as much information. No information is wasted. Even if it's not valid for the time being, it could be useful down the line. So do as much research as you can, ask questions. And if you do have, like IB knows, I'm here. I'm not a professional in immigration stuff, but I can point the way for you if you need me to give you some bit of information here and there. I'm available. But the key thing is 100% information that you need is on the Canada website, IRCC. Go in there, get whatever you need to get. That's if you're coming to Canada, that is. And I think that's also says about other locations too.
Is it ircc.org or something?
Well, it's Canada. If we go into the Canada platform, then you just type IRCC. It will take you straight to that. Yeah. So you go through the Canada platform first.
Okay.
Canada.
All right.
Canada's,
how did they go to? I'm just asking. How did they go into Canada platform?
Just type on Google Canada immigrations.
Once you type that's what I'm saying now.
Yeah, it pulls it out. Yeah, it pulls it out. So once you go into Canada immigration, it takes you into the Canada main website, the Government of Canada website. So while in there, you can also then go into IRCC.
Okay, perfect. And Dr. Ijoma?
Just echoing what everybody said is I think all the speakers were great, and it's all bringing different aspects. Is that, you know, the transition, there's something about spiritual about it, it's the new identity. You need the research. A lot of people coming here are anticipating that hero, heroine's journey. And a lot of the information, that knowledge that they're getting here is helping them research, plan, that kind of visualizing this could be the type of journey I'm going to do. What's the preparation? What will the impact be for my children? You know, so everybody's coming. I think everybody got something from this.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And Ruth?
Yes. So my point of departure is always your faith. So stay prayed up, stay with your God, talk to him, let him guide you, let him help you, and your way will open wherever your path will lead. As long as you know that God is with you, you will not fail. I guarantee it. You will not fail. And thank you to all my fellow panelists. It was such a blessing to share this wonderful platform with you. I was particularly blessed by Dr. Ejoma and Sister Morayo. Such powerful, life-shifting information. So thank you so much.
And Mariah, thank you, Ruth. Mariah?
Yeah, all I just want to say is people should learn to talk more, you know, because we as parents, we should make time and talk to our children. Talk more, let your children have opinions, you know, like the schools you want them to go to, let them have a say also in where they want to go to when they go visiting the schools. It's very important to do more of talking and listening, you know, to our children and knowing about the school culture, very important. And also what every speaker has said, you know, that we should key into all these things, research, very, very important. And what Ruth also said, being spiritual, you know, because if you have a religion, just be very spiritual, very prayerful, and in going into the next step. And thanks, IB, for inviting me tonight.
Fantastic. Ruth, have you spoken? Yeah? Yeah. So, guys, I want to say thank you to everyone that joined us today. You can follow me on my YouTube channel, Ibinabo Enebi, and you can subscribe my YouTube channel, Ibinabo Enebi, and then follow me on my social media handles. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, on Threads. I just joined Threads yesterday. So, guys, and my panelists, I'm going to call you. And bye, everybody. And I'm going to see you again next year on Refresh to Relaunch. But I host EB Speaks every month, I think twice a month. So if you're following me, you're going to get all the information. And bye, everybody. Mwah. So, guys, I'm going to call you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Ivy.
Bye. Bye. Thank you. Bye.